Okay, so for today we are working on midterm part A, which is going to occur on Wednesday. So that's 2 days from now. Okay, so you have 2 days to prep. Now, obviously, if you've been studying over the weeks and weeks that we've come to this place, you've obviously studied things like this before, but we're just going to go over a quick review over everything that you need to make sure you know how to do for the midterm, at least part A of it. Okay, again, part A occurs on Wednesday. You have 2 days to get ready for it. Tonight, make notes. Okay, you have one page front and back that you can write down any notes you need, and you can use that on Wednesday. Okay, for Thursday's midterm B, you can create a brand new one page front and back and use that for Thursday. Okay, but you cannot use 2 pages on any day. Okay. So you can make both pages in one day if you want, but you can only use one at a time. So, very first question we have here is just simplify. This is stuff we learned in the very beginning of the year. Okay, so for us right here, if we're just going to simplify, we're going to have to maybe distribute, combine like terms. Notice there is no equal sign. Okay, I remember when I used to grade these things a long time ago, a lot of people were saying like x equals 5, and I'm like, where did the equal sign come from? There is no equal sign. So simplify just means write it out as simple as you can. Okay, so we're going to distribute. I'm going to put it under right here. Okay, we're going to distribute negative 2 times 4x. That's a negative 8x. And negative 2 times 1, that'd be a negative 2 here. And I'm going to keep writing the stuff that's left over. Okay, now I have negative 8x minus 2 plus 2x minus 10. These are like terms right here. Okay, I can add those together. So negative 8x plus 2x is negative 6x. And then the negative 2 minus 10, those are like terms, so that's just going to be minus 12. You cannot combine the last two terms, okay? They don't have the same variable. So you're done. This is it. And like I said, these are problems that are very familiar or similar to the stuff that's going to come out on your midterm. So if you can do this, you can do the midterm problem, okay? And by the way, I forgot to mention, but your midterm is all on computers, so make sure you guys bring your computers, make sure they're charged. If they're not charged, bring your charger. Okay, we don't have extras in the classroom, so. Any questions on this one? All right. So here's the next one. We're going to be solving. Okay, now this is very similar to the one we just did, but we are solving. Okay, so again, you can tell the difference. There is an equal sign here, so that's why solve instead of simplify. Okay, so let's go ahead and multiply this out. I'm just going to distribute. I'm just drawing the lines under. Okay, so 3 times negative 2x is negative 6x, and 3 times 4 is a positive 12, equal to negative 4x minus 12. Now, the negative 6x and the negative 4x, those are like terms, but they're on opposite sides of the equal sign. So you're going to have to move one to the other side. Any one you want, really, it's up to you. I prefer to move the smaller of the two variables, okay? So negative 6x is smaller than negative 4x, okay? So I'm going to add 6x to both sides. Now, it doesn't matter. You can add 4x to both sides. You'll still get the same answer, okay? So if I add negative 6x to both sides, all I'm left with on the left side is a 12. On the right side, I have a 2x minus 12. Now, since I already have the x alone on the right side, I'm going to get rid of that minus 12. So let's add it to both sides. So that gives me 24 is equal to 2x. Now, to get my answer for x, what do I do to both sides? What do I have to do on both sides to get x by itself? Divide, right? So divide both sides by 2, and that's going to give me 12 is equal to x. Okay? Again, if you can do a problem like this on your own, you should be able to do the problems on the midterm. Okay? So I'm showing you stuff that I'm noticing, like, okay, they're giving you questions like this. Let me give you stuff to see, okay? All you have to do is when you go home, just rewrite the original questions and then test yourself, right? Go over it again. See if you can do it. All right, now there are going to be some absolute values. Remember, with absolute values, you always end up with two different answers because you got to break up the absolute value into two different equations. But before you can do the breaking up, you got to make sure that the absolute value is all by itself. Okay? So right now there's a plus 3 next to the absolute value. So I'm going to subtract 3 on both sides first. So that gives me the absolute value of 3x minus 2 is equal to 10. And at this point, you're supposed to break this apart. Now, I do want to remind you guys, if this was a negative 10, then you would say this is a no solution problem. Why is it no solution? Like from there, how can I tell it automatically fails? Anybody remember? It has to be what? It has to be a positive, right? Because when's the last time you've seen an absolute value come out negative? Never, right? So if you ever see a negative solution, so it says absolute value is equal to a negative solution, then no solution, okay? Here I can do it. I'm going to have to break it up into two parts, okay? Remember, you remove the absolute value, you set it equal to a negative, well actually you can set it equal to the original, and then the next one you rewrite it and you set it equal to a negative solution, okay? But notice the absolute value is missing now, so a negative answer is okay. Now you just have to solve both of them, okay? So add 2. That gives me 3x equals to 12. So if I divide both sides by 3, what do I get? X equal to 4. Okay, so there's the first one. Okay. And then the next one I'm going to add 2 again. So I get 3x equal to negative 8. And for this one, I'm going to get a fractional answer, okay? It's going to be a fraction. So if I divide both sides by 3, I'm going to get x equal to negative 8 thirds. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with an answer that's a fraction. Okay? Now, you might either see on the quiz that they're going to list both answers like that. They might say x equals 4 and x equals negative 8 thirds. Or you might see it like this. Make sure you guys are aware of both ways, okay? It can be either way. The solution can either be each answer individually or both answers together in set notation. Are we okay with the first 3 problems so far? So I think, let me just really quick scroll. Actually, it's 11 problems, but that last one has like 3 pieces. So some of these are really quick and easy, but some of them, they do kind of take a little while. All right, so let's move on then. All right, so we got solve this, negative 4x plus 10 less than or equal to 30. The only thing I'm going to basically give you a warning about with these is, remember, since they are inequalities, they may have to flip signs if you're dividing or multiplying by negative numbers, okay? So in this case right here, I got negative 4x plus 10 less than or equal to 30, so I got to solve for x. So let me get that 10 and move it over to the other side. So minus 10. So I get negative 4x is less than or equal to 20. And then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4. So divide both sides by a negative 4, I get x, I get negative 5, and my inequality has to flip to the other direction, like that. Okay? Make sure you guys note that. Okay, whether you want to highlight it or something like that. I'll highlight it for us just to kind of make a point. But since I divided both sides by a negative number, it has to flip the inequality. Okay? So these are like, I guess you could call the easier ones. The harder ones for these are the ones where they have absolute values, and then you gotta flip a lot of different things. So I think that might be next. By the way, you'll notice I haven't asked you to graph any of these, right? Normally you'd have to draw a number line and then, put a dot and whether it's going to the right or to the left. That was a thing. So far, from what I saw on the midterm, they didn't have many graphing problems. I think they only had one. So, like this would be another one where if I told you to graph it, since it's an OR problem, they would be going in opposite directions, right? But they're not asking us to graph this either. So I'm going to keep it the way the midterm is. I'm not going to make you do a bunch of extra work that you don't need to. All right. So they want us to solve this. So we're basically going to do two different problems at one time. Okay. So let's start with the left side. I got to solve for x, so I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So I get 2x less than 16. And then to get x by itself, divide 2. And we should pretty much be ready for our solution from there. X is less than 8. All right, so that's done. Now let's look at the other equation. For that one, we're going to subtract 2 as well. Well, not as well, but we are going to subtract 2. So that's 4x greater than -4. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 4. Now, for a lot of people, this is what I saw as their answer. Now, be careful because that's not right. What happened there? I flipped the symbol, right? And people will do that because they say, well, you divided a negative number. And that's true, right? I divided a negative number. That's not a wrong statement. But remember, in order to flip the symbol, you need to divide by a negative number. Not just divide a negative number. You need to divide by a negative number. So this sign should stay pointing to the right side. Okay? Now again, they might either give you both answers like this and just say, okay, it's this or that. Okay? Or maybe they write it like this. I don't know. But I'm assuming that they're going to stick with the two separate answers and use the word or in between them. Okay? They might do that. But if not, they'll put it together in a set. But I really do think it's going to be the ones that have the or in between them. That just makes more sense to me. But just be aware, you can write it two ways, right? If you get 2 answers, 3 answers, you can write them as a set, or you can just kind of put them alone. It is multiple choice for a lot of the stuff, but there are some where you got to write it in. And whenever you write it in, I think the instructions say write just the answer. In other words, don't write like x equals 5. Just write 5, right? So you'll kind of see that when you get to it. All right, these are the ones that I remember when I gave you guys the quiz. You guys, some of you did fine, but there was some of you guys that kept giving me just one solution. Okay, same with the one like number 3, I think it was, the absolute value problem. You guys would just keep giving me one solution because you would forget that you're supposed to break it up into 2 parts. Okay, you have to break it up into 2 different parts. So, so remember, anytime, put that in your notes. Absolute values create 2 equations, create 2 inequalities. Okay, you need 2 of them. So you are going to see something similar to this. If you're thinking, well, that's a hard one, maybe there's an easier one. Like, no, this is kind of what it's going to look like. Okay, I'm not making you guys do stuff that you're not going to see. So same thing like we did with the equal one. We're going to get the absolute value all by itself. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides first. Okay, so that gives me 2. Absolute value of 2y plus 1 is less than 12. Okay, After that, I got to get rid of that 2 in the front, so I'm going to divide everything by 2. Notice it is a positive 2, so it doesn't change anything. Okay? No signs are going to change. So this is just going to be absolute value of 2y plus 1 is less than 6. Now, at this point, if they were going to make you graph, I would ask you, is this an and or an or problem? How do we know if it's an and or an or problem? Not sure if people remember, but it's dependent on this. Okay? So I'll put this right here. This is and. This is or. If they were going to make you graph it, this is an and problem. That means they'd be kind of going towards each other. Okay? If this was an or problem, they'd be going in opposite directions. Okay? But again, they're not going to make you graph it, so it's not really super important that you know whether it's an and or an or for this problem, because they're not going to show you a picture. They're not going to make you draw one. So it doesn't really matter, but I mean, try to remember that. Okay? There is an and, there is an or with inequalities. If it points at the inequality, it's and. If it points away, it's an or. Okay? So now I got to break it up into 2 different equations. Okay? So what are my 2 equations? Let me kind of draw an arrow this way so I can write them out. The first one is going to look normal. 2y plus 1 less than 6. And the other one will be 2y plus 1. And I'm going to change the color here. Greater than negative 6. You got to change the symbol and you got to change the sign. Okay? You change both. And now you just got to solve both equations and you're done. So, or inequality, sorry, and you're done. So minus 1 on both. 2y less than 5. And then divide both sides by 2. Y is less than 5 halves. That's one of these answers. Okay? The next one, we're going to subtract 1 on both sides again. So 2y is greater than negative 8. And then I'm going to divide everything by 2. Oh, I'm saying negative 7. Thank you. Negative 7. In my head, I saw negative 8. So divide by 2. Y is greater than negative 7 over 2. And these are both of your answers. Maybe on the multiple choice, it's going to give you this and that. Okay? I don't think they're going to try to be tricky and give you the same answers with an or in it, but maybe. I mean, I don't remember all the options they can give you. But just make sure you know and or. Write it in your notes. That way, if you're wondering which one is which, right? Just write it in your notes. You have a page front and back that you can use for Wednesday, and also a page that you can do for Friday. For Thursday. So write whatever you need. Any questions so far? Need me to revisit anything? And this is basically all a revisitation. So this one's pretty quick. Find the slope. What is the x-intercept? Okay. Now, how are you supposed to find the slope when I just give you a picture? You don't have to do this problem, but like, how are you supposed to approach it? When you're given a picture, how do you find the slope? Rise over run. In order to do rise over run, what do I need for reference? I need points, right? I need points. So you just got to pick 2 points. So let me help you out here with picking 2 points. I'm going to pick this point right here. That point is negative 1, negative 2. And then I'm going to pick this point right here, which is 3, 1. Okay? So I'll put 3, 1, negative 1, negative 2. That way you guys know where to draw the line. In case you're trying to figure out, like, man, how am I supposed to draw this? So I'm going to give you 2 points of reference. But I didn't want to give you those points in the very beginning because when you guys do the work on your computer, they may give you the points already. They may not. So you may have to kind of reference them yourself. Okay? And then from there, you are just going to do rise over run. Okay? We're just going to do rise over run. So I'm going to kind of draw these little markings here. So from left to right, how high do I have to go up to get to the next point? I think someone said it. How high? 3. I have to go 3. Okay, I'm going to kind of make this a little bit extra bold there. 3 up, and how many to the right? 4. So your slope, since I went up and to the right, is 3 over 4. Okay? Not negative 3 over 4, because that means I would have to go down and to the right. But that one's pretty easy. It's not too hard to do. It just requires you to be able to locate 2 points and then count. Okay? All right. Number 8. Find the slope. Now for this one, you guys have to remember a formula. Okay, so m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's all you have to do. Okay? If you want to label your points x1, y1, x2, y2, that's up to you. I usually do. That way I don't make a silly mistake of getting lost in my numbers. So there's my first x and y value, so I call it x1, y1. And then my second x and y value, I'm going to call it x2, y2. And then just plug in your numbers. Remember to be careful when you plug in negatives. Make sure you use parentheses and stuff. Okay, so y sub 2, that's negative 10. Okay, I'm not going to put a parentheses because there's no sign in front of it. Minus, and then y sub 1, that's 4. I always put parentheses in front of the numbers that have symbols. Okay, so there you go, negative 10 minus 4. And then x2 is 6 minus x1 is negative 2. Remember on the bottom it's minus a negative. That really means plus, right? So m is equal to negative 10 minus 4 is negative 14. 6 minus a negative 2, that's 8. Okay? And then you can reduce that by 2. That's negative 7 over 4. All right? So we're at number 8. Remember, we got to get to 11. So 9, 10, 11. But 11 has like 3 little parts. So, but they're all based on the same type of question. That's why I put them in A, B, and C. So finding the slope using the slope formula. Okay, make sure you guys know the slope formula. All right, this one's supposed to be easy. Write it in slope-intercept form. Okay, remember slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, which basically means just solve it for y. Okay, solve for y, and then you're done. So write this in slope-intercept form. So if you're going to try to get this thing set equal to y, what's the first thing I move? The 4x. All right, so minus 4x on both sides. Remember, 12 minus 4x does not subtract, but we can organize it in the way we need it. So negative 3y equals negative 4x plus 12. And then what do I do? All right, divide everything by negative 3. And we're pretty much done at that point. Just be careful. So we get y equal to negative 4 divided by negative 3 does not divide, but a negative and a negative create a positive. So this is 4/3 x. And 12 divided by negative 3 is minus 4. And this is your answer. and you're done. So again, this is a quick problem. It doesn't take long. It takes me a while because I'm talking through it, but if I didn't have to, this would take you like 20 seconds at the most and you're done. So, all right, 2 more. This one's really quick. Just write the inequality for the graph. Like, what is this? Is this x equals -1, x is less than -1, x is less than or equal to -1? Is it x greater than -1, x greater than or equal to -1? Which one of those is it? So what do you guys think? What's the answer to this? I mean, all right. X is greater than -1. I did hear you. I didn't get a chance to hear what you said. What? Less than? Greater. Because all the numbers this way are bigger, right? All the numbers to the left are smaller, right? If you think about counting to the left, you get 0, then -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. They're all smaller. They're less than, right? Since the arrow's pointing to the right, that means the numbers are getting bigger, so they're greater. And remember, not greater than or equal to, because if it was greater than or equal to, the dot would be solid, right? So that's all you have to do for this one. You don't have to do anything else. And they will give you options, by the way, for this type of problem. If I remember correctly, there's 4 options you get to pick from. All right, so you can just look at them and see which one makes the most sense to you. All right, we got one more that has 3 parts. And the reason is because they're all based on the same question. They want you to write an equation given certain things. Okay, so write an equation given certain things. So we'll start off with part A. They give you the slope and they give you a point. Now remember the equation, they always want you to write it in y equals mx plus b form, right? They always are looking for that. So they did give me m. They said m is equal to 2. And for part A, they did give me x and y. That means I can solve for b right away. All right? Now, let me just write this out. Y equals mx plus b. I know that y is 4. I know that m is 2. X is -1 plus b. 2 times -1 is a -2, so 4 equals -2 plus b. If you add 2 to both sides, b is equal to 6. Now I know what m is, and I know what b is. So all I have to do is write it into my equation y equals mx plus b. So be y equals m, which is 2x plus 6. And this is your answer. So it's not a terrible problem. It's just you guys got to remember, like, okay, they need y equals mx plus b. I know m, I don't know b. How do I figure out the b value? Well, use the point they gave you. Plug it into the formula along with your slope. That's going to leave only the b variable left. At that point, you can solve for the b variable and then you can write your answer after that. All right, the next problem is almost identical in terms of what they're going to give you. It just looks different. So you're going to write an equation that goes through the point 1, 2 and is parallel to y equal to 3x plus 6. So it goes through the point 1, 2 and is parallel to y equal to 3x plus 6. So what did they give me here? Well, they gave me a point, right? That one's pretty obvious. They gave me something else.
Slope, the M.
The M. What's M? 3. M is 3. Okay, how do I know that? Well, they said it has to be parallel to that equation, right? If they're parallel, their slopes have to be the same. So the slope has to be 3. Okay? So they basically gave me the same information that I got in the previous problem, right? M and a point. So I got M and I got a point. So let me go ahead and work on the problem just like I did the previous problem. Okay. So y equals mx plus b. I know y is 2. I know m is 3. X is 1 plus b. 3 times 1 is 3, so 2 equals 3 plus b. And if I subtract 3 on both sides, I get negative 1 is equal to b. Now remember, I know my slope and I know my y-intercept, right? So now I just got to write my answer. Y equals mx plus b, but with slope of 3 and b value of negative 1. And we're almost done. Last one coming up. This last one is the toughest one because usually involves the most work. But I mean, it's not terrible. You just got to know that you're looking for specific things. Any questions on part B before I move on to the last one? All right, so here we go. So C, write an equation that passes through the points 2, 4, and 6, 2. So normally they would have given me a point and a slope, okay? Part A, they gave me a point and a slope. Part B, they gave me a point and a slope, but it was kind of hidden, but they did give it to me. Here, they also gave me a point and a slope, but it's very hidden. How do I find my slope? Just use the formula, right? Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. So first, let me mark these up. I'm going to call these X1, Y1 to Y2. Okay, so, all right, slope formula. Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. So Y2 is 2 minus Y1 is 4 over X2 is 6 minus X1. That's 2. Remember, I like putting parentheses on the second number just in case there were negatives there. That way I can remember to multiply them out. In our case, it doesn't have it. That's okay. So 2 minus 4 is negative 2. 6 minus 2 is 4. So your slope is negative half. So now I know my slope. So I get to use my, my slope that I just found along with any one of those points to find my b value. So remember, I'm going to use y equals mx plus b, okay? I'll just use the first point just because it's the first one. It doesn't really matter. So y1 is 4 equal to slope, that's a negative half, times x, that's 2, plus b. We're almost done here. 4 is equal to negative 1 plus b. Half times 2 is 1. So it's negative 1. Add 1 to both sides. Whoops, sorry about that. Add 1 to both sides. So 5 is equal to b. Now notice, I got m, I got b. All I got to do is write it out in my formula, and I'm done. So y is equal to m, which is negative half x, plus b, which is a positive 5. And that's my final answer. This is what you guys need to know for Wednesday.